From San Antonio, Texas, Prime proudly presents the opening event of the 1995-96 Brunswick World Team Challenge Series. Welcome to the Country Lanes in San Antonio, here in the Alamo City. We start the 1995-96 Brunswick World Team Challenge Series. Hello again, everybody. Jay Randolph. Good to have you with us. Well, it's been 3 wonderful years, and we go for number 4. The Baker system, of course, provides the excitement, the team challenge, and it is growing in popularity in the United States and all around the world. Earl Anthony, the Hall of Famer, joins me. And Earl, good to be back with you.
Nice to be back with you, Jay.
And as we look to this opening series and this opening performance here, tell us about the 3 teams that have made it.
Well, we're very lucky. Our opening tournament, we've got 3 outstanding teams. The team that qualified third are the defending champions, and they just did get there. They won their last match, and it took to the 9th frame of the second game to do that. They're led by Robert Lawrence, and again, an outstanding, experienced team, but they have yet to win on television. That's a key phrase as it goes up the line. The team in second, Vice Grips Track, led by Tony Franklin, another very talented team, has yet to win a match on television. They finished third twice in the top 5. The tournament leaders, Boulevard Bowl, had to fight and scratch all the way to the end to finally catch the team that qualified second. Who was the qualifying leader? That's the Vice Grip team. Boulevard Bowl went all the way to the end, finally caught him with 2 matches to go. They're led by Mike Edwards, a PBA champion, and another very experienced team with Billy Young leading off for that team. This team is going to be hard to beat, but again, they have yet to win on television.
And, of course, the pressure of the Baker system, the chemistry of team play is very, very important. And we will be back with our opening match from here deep in the heart of Texas, San Antonio. That's coming up right after these messages. Team Bowling Challenge is brought to you by the American Bowling Congress and the Women's International Bowling Congress, providing championship service to sanctioned leagues across the United States. Make sure your league is sanctioned by the national governing bodies. By Lynn Shoes. For the performance approach, it's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of bowlers worldwide. By Contour Power Grips, the pioneers of the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips. You should too. And by Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide. Brad Davidson on the left for Vice Grips Track. Jim Sneary for Showplace Lane. Shaking hands, we're ready to go. This is Jim Sneary to lead it off for Showplace Lanes. Comes up a little short.
Well, they left the 2-8. Not an easy spare to start with. Spares haven't been that easy all week anyway, Jay. As we watched the match play this morning, a lot of the players struggling with anything on the left side of the lane. The ball tended to either skid by, or if they pointed it a little more, it wanted to hook off the left side of the spare. So let's see how Jim plays this. He'd probably play a lot of the lane and let the ball roll up into the 2-8. And that's what he's trying to do. There's that sharp hook on the back, and that's really the major problem. If you get the ball starting to hook, it wants to go very hard.
The Contour Power Grip starting lineup brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips, and you should too. Vice Grips Track lineup there. Brad Davidson. Davidson opens with a strike.
What it's all about here is just try to stay clean. This is 2 games, total pins to determine the winner of this match to go on to the championship match. And you've got to make your spares, and not a good beginning here for Showplace.
John Hood, 39-year-old software technician from Austin. And a little line, my goodness.
Yeah, he just couldn't get his thumb out of that one. And things happen with the heat, the humidity, problems with being a little nervous with the cameras on and big audience here at the bowling center looking on. Here's another look at it. You see the ball just won't come off his thumb, and it could be the moisture in the thumb hole. Could be he was out of time. He almost got hurt there, Jay.
Boy.
Not an easy spare. Again, a very tough spare. The 1-3-9. He wants to get the ball just enough of the head pin, but a lot of that 3 pin, so the ball goes straight back into the 9. Miss the head pin. Back to back. Opens.
Well, you talked about bowling on television, the pressure. David Smith. Smith, an accountant, 29 years old, with Fidelity Investments. He's from North Richland Hills in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Well, it was a chance to really jump on those 2 opens that Showplace has already gotten. Vice Grips track team, very talented group of individuals. They like to play the center of the lane, and that's where the shot has been basically for the guys that are using a ball that'll hook. The guys that can go straight up the board seem to have a much better carry angle, in my opinion. In other words, they're playing out around the second arrow or just outside of it and pointing the ball to the pocket. And they seem to carry better. And I think when you get a chance to see the tournament leaders Boulevard lanes, you'll find that a couple of them are playing up around the second arrow.
7-10 pin.
Well, Showplace has got to get it going here, Jay. They're giving away too much already, and it doesn't look like Vice Grips is quite as nervous as the Showplace team. They're the defending champions, so they know what it's like. The reason they have never won on television is because this wasn't televised last year. They did win the tournament with a television format, the same one we're using right now, but there were no cameras here to record it.
They did finish 17th in the Grand Championship. This is Frank Wiggett. He's from Austin, Texas, 27 years old.
Interesting occupation, Jay.
Yes, a hazardous materials specialist.
Does that mean he handles resin-reactive bowling balls? Is that what that means?
Well, and some other rather volatile substances. Oh, he just did pick it up.
Well, they've got a mark. Their first mark of the match. Only in the 3rd frame. Lots of room left. Remember, this is 2 games, total pins. And to give you an idea, Jay, as soon as we take a look at this young man.
This is Chris LaCroix. He's 21 years of age, a sophomore at Tarrant County Junior College.
Crossed it over, got to Brooklyn, carried them all, that's what counts. Very quickly, let me give you an idea, you folks at home, of what this tournament is all about. You know it's the Brunswick World Team Challenge, and the format here is quite simple, really. There are 34 teams that entered this tournament. We cut to the top 10 after 6 games of qualifying, total pins, and you carry the total pins over into the match play. You bowl a 2-game match against each of the other teams in the field, plus a position round. 15 bonus pins for winning a game, 20 more if you win the total pins for the match. So a possibility of 50 bonus pins each match. And you continue to carry your pin fall over in the top 3 teams you see here on television today.
A Contour Power Grip starting lineup brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips, and you should too. Showplace lanes now with Jimmy Thompson, 28-year-old pro shop owner, and he, along with Robert Lawrence, who you'll see in a moment, are partners in the pro shop at Showplace Lanes in Austin.
Give you an idea of what they're doing here today. This is, as I mentioned, it's 2 games, total pins to win the match. They'll bowl 1 game, a full game, on each lane. After this game, they'll switch lanes. And sometimes one lane's a little more difficult than the other, not by design. It just seems to work out that way. And you look at Tony Franklin, a very talented bowler who bowled on the tour a little while. Now he's gone back to school.
Yeah, he's a senior now at the University of Texas, Arlington.
Tony is he's keeping the Showplace team in it with that shot, because this is almost an impossible spare, the 2-8-10. And again, to get back briefly to what we're playing today, we have 3 teams, the top 3 teams after all of those qualifying match play. This is the Baker system, meaning that if you see a number, which you will, on each bowler's chest, that number signifies what frames he bowls. Like Tony Franklin, the 4-9 means he bowls the 4th and the 9th frame for his team. You have 2 chances to help or hinder your team each game.
Here's the anchor man for Showplace Lanes, Robert Lawrence, 32 years old.
Robert's been a great bowler for a long time. He won the U.S. Open in 1992, I believe. Yes, the 1992 U.S. Open, which is really a crown jewel in something anybody that's ever bowled professionally would love to have done.
That's one of the titles you never won.
You had to bring that up, didn't you? Okay. He was also a first-team All-American in 1990, so you can see Robert is a 3-time champion on the national tour, and he's won 3 regional tournaments, so he's been around, he knows how to play the game, and he's an excellent spare shooter.
And one of the really nice people in the game, Robert Lawrence.
Gave us a big smile there, Jay, because he might have heard me say he's an excellent spare shooter, and he almost chopped that.
The anchor man for Vice Grips Track is Brad Hunter. He's 31, an occupational structural engineer from Arlington, Texas. Looked good, but the 10 is still there.
That was a great shot, considering the circumstances. His first shot of the day on national television, and it's going to come down to this, it seems, most every time, Jay. The anchormen come down to that 9th or 10th frame. It comes down to the guys that can perform under pressure, and with 4 other guys sitting on the bench, pulling for them and ready to kill them if they don't perform well. You know, sometimes the guys all drive over in a couple of cars or ride in one car, and they might have to walk home if they don't perform well at 10th frame.
We will return with more of the Brunswick World Team Challenge from San Antonio right after these messages. Challenge kicking off this 95-96 series. Jim Sneary for Showplace Lanes.
Much better shot there, Jay, and he got the job done. Now, they've gone through the first 5 frames. They should be a little more relaxed, didn't you think, the second time around?
Well, that's right, and they've had an opportunity to compare notes, so to speak.
Very good point. Let's get another look at that last shot. Great entry angle, good roll on the ball, and you see the balance at the foul line? That's the key to making good shots. And his reaction, of course, was, finally got it going, guys. Back me up now.
Brad Davidson. He's from Louisville, Texas. Outside of Dallas.
Got the ball into a little bit of an early roll there. Not quite as firm maybe as he'd like to have been as far as ball speed goes. So the ball picked up the roll a little sooner than he might have wanted and went through the middle of the hip into 3-6-10. Again, these spares on the right side are much easier than the spares on the left because of the way the ball reacts on the left side of the lane. It either wants to hook or skid. Going across the lane from left to right, the ball will skid all the way into this. He shouldn't have any problem. Try to fit the ball between the 3 and the 6.
And he does it in fine fashion. Davidson, who has 1 regional PBA title.
Here's another look at it. Now, this is ideal cover. The ball between the 3-6 and he collects into the 10. That's exactly how you want to do it.
John Hood. John from Austin, Texas, the capital of this great state.
There's going up the board. The ball was turned very early for him, but he crossed it over and got away with it, and that's a double for the Showplace Lanes team, getting back into the hunt here.
Now David Smith. David, who has won 2 regional PBA titles over the years.
Good arm swing here. Good steady pace to the foul line. Good swing, good rotation. Didn't get it back. Almost the washout. Only the 1-2. Not a tough spare here.
A little upset with himself, but that ball just didn't seem to react.
You know, and that's his second shot on this lane, so that's his last chance to help the team on lane 38. We're bowling on lanes 37 and 38 here in San Antonio. Brunswick World Team Challenge. Our first stop of 22.
That's right. We'll have 22 stops in the Open Division, 6 in the Women's Division, plus the Grand Championship, and picks up the spare course tour. Are we going to have that continuing growth that we've seen now at the international level?
That's right. A lot of involvement overseas, and the World Teams Challenge Championship, which was held in Reno just about a month ago, or a month and a half ago, Jay. A couple months ago, I can't remember, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was very successful. We had teams from all over the world, and we're looking forward to even bigger and better things as this continues to grow. And if you want to play, you better get your entries in, folks. If you're listening and you're interested in bowling in this particular type of competition, get them in because they fill up in a hurry.
Frank Wiggett has the strike.
It's 3 in a row for Showplace. They're on a roll. They got things going now. It looked very dark for them to start with. Remember, they started with those two easy spares they missed, and now they're right back in the hunt. Remember, this is 2 games, total pins. We're just nearing the end of the first game of the 2-game set.
Chris LaCroix, our youngest competitor in this Brunswick World Team Challenge.
And the 4-6-7. This is the kind of spare that all you can do is just take the 2 on the left and hope if you throw it hard, maybe one of them will bounce out of the pit and knock down the 6-pin, but he's not going to try to slide it over. It just isn't worth it because you probably will miss the 4-pin if you try to slide it. Take the 2 and throw it hard.
Both of these teams had records of 6 and 4 in match play. Ooh, good try.
Yep. That's about all you can do. Hope it bounces out of the pit. Didn't do it for him. On 3 in a row, Showplace Lanes coming up in the 9th frame here. Chance to really do some damage after that open frame by the Vice Grips track team.
Jimmy Thompson try to keep it going. Showplace Lanes up by 26.
A lot of ball speed there. Never did drip the wall. Off the wall. The pin action did the job, Jay.
How about that? A very, very happy Jimmy Thompson.
You bet. And watch the head pin, folks. This is the key pin in this series. And what happens? Watch the hit pin, the one right in the front, goes to the wall, comes off, and just nudges the 2-pin. Got to like that. And there's the reaction of the team behind him. I mean, this is a key strike. It loads it up again for that anchor man in the 10th frame. On 4 in a row. And this is Tony Franklin trying to get his team going again.
Oh, yes. And he points back at those guys and says, all right, let's get going.
Tony's been in a lot of pressure situations. You get a look at the scoreboard again. That lead Cheney Showplace Lanes on a 4-bagger with a chance to really get in. Look at the first couple of frames, how they started. 3 out of the first 4 frames they were open. Comes down to Robert Lawrence. Remember, this is just the first game of 2 games. Total pins to decide the winner. Got a break there, Jay, leaving only the 2-pin. That was much more difficult for a moment. He had the 2-4-7-8 briefly, which would have been not only a bad count, but a very tough spare. Remember, this team just did sneak in. The team they were bowling, who were Delmar Lanes from Houston, Texas, was in a battle with them for 3rd and 4th, and of course only 3 teams make the telecast. It came down to the 9th frame where the bowler bowling 9th in the 9th place for, excuse me, the 9th frame for Delmar Lanes open, and this young man right here threw a key double to get him to this position.
There are the high games. Swedes bowling supply from Houston. Vice Grips track. Team at AMF. And their high games in this event.
See the name Bill Lillard Jr. there,
Yeah.
son of Hall of Famer Bill Lillard. And not a good finish for Robert Lawrence. First he made a bad shot, got a break, and then he makes this shot, which is a horrible count on the spare, and they end up with, looks like a total of 187. Is that correct?
Let's see what Brad Hunter can do.
Well, if he can strike it out, we could have a tie in the first game. You got
a little short.
You got to tell these guys when they line up, Jay. You're going to go down and give them a couple of tips that when they line up like that, that they got to get rid of that ball a little quicker. It's hot in here. The humidity level is pretty high, and when you stand there and hold the ball that long, the tendency is not to be able to get it off your hand very clean. So run down there and tell them that, will you?
I don't think I'm allowed to do that.
Oh, okay. No coaching. Washout. The 1-2-4-10 cross, not quite enough.
All right, we will return with more action from the Brunswick World Team Challenge, the AMF Country Lanes in San Antonio in a moment. Ends the victory for Showplace Lanes in match number 1, and Earl, that was quite a comeback from the way they started.
No question, Jay. They opened 3 out of the first 4 frames, and it looked like it was going to be a walk easy walk in the park for the Vice Grips teams, but they just came right back to them and made a lot of mistakes. Now we switch lanes. Remember, we bowled one full game on lane 38 for the Vice Grip team. Now they're on lane 37, starting the second game with the 2 games, total pins. 32 pins isn't much. We've seen it many times in the past where that's turned around in the first 3 or 4 frames, Jay.
There's no question when you're playing this Baker system, it can change quickly. Brad Davidson starting it off for Vice Grips track.
Got to fill the frames, make the spares.
All right. Qualifying averages, 225.8 for Tom Young, Brad Davidson Jr. 222.6, and Billy Young Jr. 221.3.
Got a lot of juniors out there. I mean, we're getting old or what? What's that?
They're the qualifying averages for you, both the regular qualifying and the Baker system.
See that the Vice Grips team led the qualifying, and as I mentioned earlier, they held on all the way to the last 2 matches. We've made a format change this year. Instead of bowling just 9 2-game matches in the match play, as you can see the records in match play, 7 and 3, we added a position round, which is a great addition, I think, to the tournament. It gives the player, the team in 4th place, a chance to bowl the team in 3rd place, and maybe move into the televised portion of the tournament. And also the team in 2nd bowls the team in 1st, and the winner of that could be the tournament leader.
And Jim Sneary unable to pick up the spare.
Well, here we go again. This is the way they started. Remember, in the opening game of this 2-game match, started with 2 opens. Only 1 so far, but I don't think they can continue to give Vice Grips that many opportunities.
Now David Smith. Uh-oh, trouble.
Well, he liked it. When he let go of it, he was pretty happy with it. You can see his expression now is, how can this happen to me? I made a great shot. But that's his first ball on that lane also, so that makes a difference. Here's that last shot, and he's in pretty good right there. Balance is great. You can see the ball came off his hand the way he wanted to. He's happy until right there. The ball ducked on the end, and he leaves the 6-7. Very tough spare, excuse me. He wants to slide the 6 into the 7. Cross lane at it. Got a chance. Almost. These teams are really struggling, Jay, and you know, as we mentioned, we showed the averages, and they all averaged pretty good 190 plus averages in the Baker system, which is nothing to sneeze at. The Baker being a very tough way to bowl, and I think it's going to pick up as we go. A little problem getting out of the thumb hole there.
More lift there than he wanted, maybe, huh?
Yeah, well, he almost threw that one back over his shoulder. Look out behind you, folks. Just couldn't get his thumb out again, and there's just a problem. Sometimes, as I mentioned, the humidity. You can see him wiping his hand with a towel, and you can see the perspiration on his forehead. The air conditioning is working overtime here, and it's doing a good job for us back here who aren't bowling. We're comfortable, but the people down there under the lights and, of course, feeling nervous, feeling the pressure of bowling on national television, they're having a little more trouble with the perspiration, especially on their hand and getting in the thumb and finger holes, and he's stuck at the foul.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's really fighting it.
Well, if they continue to perspire, and some of them will perspire more than others, obviously, and if it should drip off their forehead or something onto the approach, someone could stick quite easily then, because the moisture will make the shoe stick, and they have trouble sliding.
Chris LaCroix. This is a very talented young bowler right here. Yes, sir.
You're exactly right, Jay, and that was a great shot. He's the one that's showing, he's showing us a lot of aggressiveness, and that's what's necessary right now. Everybody's being very tentative as we look at that shot. Again, you can see where he's playing. He's playing inside the 5th arrow, and that's real deep, and he's got plenty of rotation. He's pretty comfortable and very strong young man, physically also.
Frank Wiggett. He's ready to fire. Showplace Lanes having some problems. They are the defending champions here.
Again, the washout, the 1-2-4-7, and this is not an easy spare. He's switching bowling ball. He's probably go to something that doesn't hook quite as much as his strike ball, so he can control it a little more, be a little more accurate. Go right down the middle lane, just get it on the left side of the head pin, and hope you kick out the 10 with the head pin. Not to be.
Nope. We'll return with more from AMF Country Lane, San Antonio. Right after being up, Showplace up by 7. Franklin with a strike and Thompson open.
Yeah, but that strike by Tony Franklin was kind of unique.
Yes, it was.
They just fell from because they were tired, I think, Jay.
Boy.
From fatigue. All right, Brad Hunter on a double. Chance to extend it.
Just leaves it out there.
He's confused, and so many of the players today are completely lost out there. And part of it again is the lane condition is a good testing condition. I don't mean it's not unfair. There's no question that it's a very fair lane condition, as evident by the scores through the week. We had some decent scores. We had some pretty good games. We had some guys averaging the 220s, and if you can average 225, they can't be that tough.
Earl, are they crossing too many boards in your opinion?
Sometimes. I think part of it is that they're only bowling 4 times on the lane. I'm confused. Actually, only 2 times on each lane. 4 times in this match, 2-game match. And they watch their teammates. They talk to each other. They try to help each other line up. And the problem is everybody throws the ball a little different. And you can help if you know the bowler's game well enough. A lot of these guys are pickup teams, so they don't know each other's games that well.
Well, yes, and of course some of these fellows are professionals like Robert Lawrence, but a great many of them aren't.
Well, Robert Lawrence can find his way all by himself. He doesn't need to go back to line him up.
Yes, indeed.
Right there. That shot was made with a lot of confidence, and he got a great result. And they need that right now because they are really struggling to hang on to that 10-pin lead.
Brad Davidson.
This is it. Last time. Last chance for Brad to help his team, and he did. 4-7. Got us a good match here, Jay. It's going to come down again, as so many do. We've talked about it before. As they continue to try to fill frames, it's probably going to come down to the anchor men. If it happens, that's what those guys are there for. That's what they get paid for. They have to perform under pressure when they're needed.
Look at the intensity in Jim Sneery's eyes there.
It's a big shot. They need this. Baby split, 310. Not what they wanted at this point. They were on a strike, a chance to extend their lead, and it just didn't happen for him. He got the ball a little bit high in the head pin. The 310, he wants to fit the ball between the 2 pins, have the ball hit both pins. He'll go cross lane, try to get the ball to skid through the oil in the middle of the lane and cover both pins with the ball. You can see the 2 pins. It looks pretty close together down there, but believe me, there's plenty of room to miss this shot. Hook a little.
Couldn't do it. We'll return with the final portion of this second match of the first competition between these 2 teams, separating these 2 teams right now.
Vice Grip says, remember that 32-pin lead that Show Place Lanes had starting the second game? All of a sudden, they've lost 44 pins, and Vice Grips has taken a 12-pin lead.
David Smith. Oh, yes. A big strike for Vice Grip's track.
Not only was it a great shot, but it was, as you say, Jay, a very important one as they look at it again, because this gives them a double and increases their lead to 22 pins. That's all he can do. They'd like to have him bowl 3 or 4 more frames, but you can only help your team twice each game.
Here is John Hood. John has struggled.
Got out of that one a lot better than he has in the past when he couldn't get his thumb out, but still he rolled it basically over the thumb or the finger holes. I couldn't tell which, but I could hear it on the lane. He's not really bowling with confidence. He's just trying to, almost like he's getting the ball off his hand and hoping something good happens. You can't hope. You've got to make it happen. Right now, this team is in real trouble. Not a difficult spare. The 610 cross lane here, and John is a good spare shooter. Don't expect him to miss this.
No problem. Show Place Lanes from Austin, as we've mentioned, the defending champions here in this Vice Grips track team, of course. Finished 3rd in the San Antonio event last year. Here's LaCroix.
Ball just got completely away from him. He thought he had found a shot playing deep inside, and when he let it go, a lot of times when a player makes a move deeper into the lane, in other words, left, if you're right-handed and you move left on the approach, left on the lane, sometimes rather than letting the lane work for you, you try to overpower it. And you can see the tremendous lift he put on that ball by his follow-through and the rotation. The ball never had a chance to skid and get to the right side of the head pin. The 5-10, a tough spare for a right-hander. Oh, my, it was close. Well, not only did he open, but he lost a lot of count there. The 8 and then 8 out changes this match a lot. Puts them, they lost a lot of that big lead they had, Jay, and it's almost an even match now.
And Frank Wiggett. He's getting ready.
Frank can see a little light at the end of the tunnel. If he can get something going here, he knows he's got Robert Lawrence sitting on the bench. Again, the washout, they just can't seem to get the ball reaction. You can see him looking back, and he's looking at Robert Lawrence, who probably told him, if you stand here and throw it here, you're going to get the ball reaction you're looking for. And this ball just never picked up a roll. As you can see it going down the lane. When it did go into a roll at the back end, it was way too far down. This is a tough spare. Again, the washout wants to cover the 3 pins on the left with the ball and have the head pin bounce into the 10. Not to be there either. It's an exercise in futility as we get a look at team captain Robert Lawrence on the right there, and number 50 on his chest. He's hoping that he has an opportunity in the 10th frame to pull this match out, but the way it's going right now, it doesn't look good for Showplace Lanes.
22 pins, and Tony Franklin been looking up at the scoreboard.
This is a confident young man here.
Yeah.
He's bowled into situations with a lot more pressure than he's going to feel right now, and he's made good shots. But again, it's a testing lane condition. You have to make extremely good shots to score. Ball rolled out.
Sure did. That looked like it was going to do some business, and
Tony Franklin has been playing that rollout shot all week, all through the match play and the qualifying rounds, and it's worked for him. The problem is if it doesn't roll out, it goes high in the head pin. So he plays for the ball to go down the lane and then straighten out on the back, which that ball did. Once it starts to hook, it loses its side rotation and rolls end over end. That's a rollout shot. Now he's got a tough spare, the bucket. This match is going to be closer and closer. If he should miss this, it's anybody's match.
picked it up.
Great shot. Well, we're coming down to the nitty-gritty now. We're down to the guys that have to earn their keep. And this is a key shot for Showplace Lanes. An opportunity to set up Robert Lawrence. If he can strike here, anything can happen in the 10th frame.
Well, Jimmy Thompson and Robert Lawrence are, as I mentioned, partners.
Maybe they won't be if he doesn't strike here. Just joking there. Just joking. Great shot here.
All right. And he did just what he needed to do.
That made Robert Lawrence's heartbeat pick up just a couple beats per minute faster as you see this shot again. Great release here. Got the ball out in front of him. You can see the rotation. The ball skidded well and picked up the roll at the right time. They're talking to each other, comparing notes as we look at the anchor man of the Vice Grips.
And that's a big strike for Brad Hunter. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
All right, got the one to work on, and one more coming up. If he can do that, it will be. The situation is very tense. Robert Lawrence sitting on the bench, waiting for an opportunity, hoping to have a chance to pull this match.
That's the 9 count.
Well, with the spare, it'd be 194 for Vice Grips. And when you add that with their opening score, 155, that puts him at 39, 339, 349. Is that correct? 340. And remember, this is total pins to win the match. Robert Lawrence. One's getting motion. He knows it's all over, so we have a winner in Vice Grips.
All right. Well, it's going to be the victory for Vice Grips Track in this opening match, and we'll return with more in a moment. It's time to go around the bowling world. Brought to you by Turbo 2-in-1 Grips. More top players are switching to Turbo 2-in-1 Grips. As fine as wine improves with age, 46-year-old Pete Partridge of Phoenix recently proved he's getting better with age as well. The 94 Team USA member turned in a dominating performance at last month's Olympic Festival out in Denver, winning gold medals in the singles and the doubles with Robert Smith and the team with the West squad at the 5-day event. The 1995 Team USA member Brian Fedro of San Jose earned the only other gold medal with a victory in the match play event. Fedro edged fellow Team USA members John East of Orono, Minnesota, and Mark Van Meter of Albuquerque. In the women's division, Pat Costello of Orlando won the match play. Joanne Harris of Virginia the singles. Janet Woolham and Stacy Manley Worth the doubles. And the East squad took the team title. 293 Young American Bowling Alliance members recently competed for $30,000 in scholarships in the annual Coca-Cola Youth Bowling Championship. It was held at Marcel's Olympic Bowl in Rochester, New York, the event which crowned champions in 4 singles divisions. Julie Johnson of Moorhead, Minnesota, the girls. Heath Brightbill of Monton, Pennsylvania in the boys division. Mayore Costoso Oretz of Bayamon, Puerto Rico in the classified girls. And Jason Arrington of Anchorage, Alaska was the winner in the classified boys. Each winner earned a $3,000 scholarship. ABC Hall of Famer Joe Norris had it again this month, picking up yet another honor. The 87-year-old San Diego resident received the California Governor's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports Commendation for outstanding leadership in the promotion of older adult fitness. Congratulations, Joe. On a sad note, the bowling world lost one of its great leaders last month when Frank K. Baker passed away after a lengthy illness. Baker served as the executive secretary of the American Bowling Congress from 1951 until 1972. During his tenure, ABC's membership grew from 1.3 million members to more than 4 million. Baker was elected to Bowling's Hall of Fame in 1975. We'll return with our championship match. Game, but Vice Grips Track won it by 36 to move into the championship match. And we are ready to roll. Shane Hamilton for Boulevard Bowl. Brad Davidson shake hands. Shane Hamilton is 21 years old, a pro shop operator from Edmond, Oklahoma. He was on the winning team at Edmond 2 years ago.
Looks pretty calm for a young man, doesn't he? Ready to go. A lot of ball speed there.
And way to go. Yes, sir. That's a nice way to start.
Get another look at that. Watch the release here. You see the arm kind of weak there, but he is a big, strong kid. He can straighten it out the bottom, still get the ball speed he needs. A little high in the head pin, but with that kind of ball speed, it doesn't cut through the heart, and he trips the 4.
Brad Davidson starts it off for Vice Grips Track. Yes, indeed.
Same guys that bowled the last match. Couldn't hardly get a mark. Now here they go, right?
Yep.
We'll probably Boulevard Bowl led this thing, but they had to overcome a huge lead that Vice Grips built up in the qualifying rounds. And it took them all the way, as I mentioned earlier, right up to the end of the match play to finally do it.
Contour Power Grip starting lineup brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips, and you should too.
Yeah, a little problem there. That ball just kind of got away from him because what he did is he came up at the foul line and pulled it a little bit. Anytime you come up at the foul line, it makes your arm swing shorter at the bottom. It makes the ball go left. You can almost count on it.
Patrick Stinnett, 32 years old, pro shop operator at Boulevard Bowl in Edmond. Picks it up. Should remind you that we have the 300 game perfect game challenge, $25,000 offered from the American Bowling Congress. Here's David Smith.
had one 300 game our first year, Jay. Do you remember that?
In Chicago.
Of course, he got a $25,000 bonus then.
Well, it'll happen one day soon, I think.
Well, this young man was really playing well in the first match. Now we're going to look at him again, and this one just gets away from him. He got it down the lane kind of early. Never did go into a skid for him. He expected that ball to skid about another 1.5 feet, but there, right there, it grips the lane and makes a hard left turn. Got a break. Left only the 3-5. Could have been a lot worse. Not a difficult spare. Try to cover both pins with the ball. Oh, almost slid by it.
Well, it was very fortunate there.
That's right. Now he's got an even match so far, Jay. Here's another look at that spare. He just gets enough of the 3-pin to touch the 5. Oops. Little ballerina step there.
Thank you. And this shot comes up a little short.
Just the 1 and the 2.
That's David Garber. He's 25 years of age, a route manager for Bowling and Billiard Supply Company out of Dallas, Texas.
David's a good spare shooter. He shouldn't have any problem with this. He should use it for a lineup shot, really. And he's got, as we mentioned, this is a 2-game total pin. Total pins for the 2 games determines the winner. This is the championship match. And the idea is to fill the frames, Jay. We say it over and over again, but that's what it's all about.
So true. Chris LaCroix. LaCroix for the Vice Grips track, and Shane Hamilton for Boulevard Bowl, both 21 years of age. In this event.
Just overthrew that one, Jay.
Boy, he
just
did.
Completely got away from him. And he really needs this spare just to keep the match close. He doesn't want to give Boulevard Bowl a chance to get away. They have 2 very strong players coming up in Billy Young and Mike Edwards, bowling in the 4th and 5th positions for them. And when it gets down to those 2 guys, you don't want to give them an opportunity to start throwing strikes at you and run away with it. So picking up this washout would be really important for his team emotionally also.
And he does it.
Well, only 2 pins separating these teams, Jay. Boulevard Bowl, a 2-pin lead.
And that was a real pick-me-up right there for Vice Grips track. We'll return with more from San Antonio at AMF Country Lanes. Here's Billy Young Jr.
Billy, a great shot maker, likes to play an outside line. He's playing right around that second, 3rd arrow, and that ball just skidded. He can't believe it. He thought he made a pretty good shot, but the ball just never, ever gripped the lane.
Billy's 38 years old, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And
here's another look at it, Jay. It's right around the 14 board between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. It just went to the right and stayed there. There isn't out of bounds. You get the ball outside that 2nd arrow out near the channel, and it's not going to come back. So Billy might have just given that a little more room than he wanted to. The 1, 2, 4, the ideal cover here would be to get the ball between the 1, 2. Have it cross over to the Brooklyn side of the headpin. Got to hurry. Well, he's not real happy with that one either. He got the spare.
He'll take
not
it.
Where he played it.
He'll take it. Tony Franklin, big smile on his face.
Now, a lot of these guys have played against each other in tournaments all over the country, especially the top amateur bowlers. They travel a lot. They make a lot of money playing this game. They're still amateurs, but they make a lot of money. A lot of them make a living throwing a bowling ball.
And the 10-pin.
What they designate as a professional is a card-carrying professional. That's the difference. We have a dead even match, Jay, right down to the pin with this spare. The 10-pin cross lane.
Oh my, big mistake there.
Very big mistake there.
Boy, and look at him.
That puts some 11 pins in the hole at this point, going into Mike Edwards, who generally comes out of the gate very strong. Mike's one of those kind of guys that's a very aggressive player.
Edwards lives in Oklahoma City. Has won nearly $600,000 in his career on the PBA Tour. Oh, rack it up.
Rack it up. Does the job. Look at this. Watch the headpin. It does most of the damage. You see the ball going into a heavy roll on the back end. Headpin comes off the wall, kicks out the 4 and the 7. up the boards right around that second arrow. That's what we're talking about. The guys that have been good ball speed and going at them have been successful.
Brad Hunter, the anchor man for Vice Grips Track.
Solid 7 mile. Well, you can see the look on his face there, Jay, the kind of a wry smile, like, sure, Ed figures I finally make a great shot, and look what happens. Anyway, not too tough a spare. The important thing, again, fill those frames, go cross lane here. He switches bowling balls, go to a ball that doesn't hook, throw it hard and straight. All you got to do is hit it.
Right, show you some of the other finishers. Delmar Lanes from Houston finishing 4th. 5th position. Columbia Cuda from San Antonio. And Contour Power Grips from Dallas finishing in number 6. 7th, Vice Grips of Houston. And 8th, Team AMF from Houston, Texas. In 9th, Swedes Bowling of Houston. And in 10th, Team Columbia from San Antonio.
Chance to increase the lead. Losses the head pin, leaves the 9.
Shane Hamilton.
A little different approach there, Jay, as opposed to when he bowled in the first frame. Remember, this is their second time around in this first game. He was a little slower, a little more exact in the first shot. This one got a little faster with his feet. Maybe that's why the ball got left on him.
Had 34 teams competing in this event. All of the teams were from Texas and Oklahoma. We end up with 2 teams representing those 2 states in the championship match. Boulevard Bowl from Edmond, Oklahoma, and Vice Grips Track from Grapevine, Texas. Now it'll be up to Brad Davidson. Vice Grips right now down by 11.
Well, we'll make that a few more now, Jay, with that shot. The count's going to be very important here, plus the spare of the washout. We've seen a lot of washouts today. The players getting the ball out to the right side, and it's not gripping the lane and coming back for them. And if they go a little more direct, the ball wants to overhook. So some of them are confused, and if you can't create a lot of ball speed, which is very necessary on this type of lane surface, you've got to be able to create good ball speed, keep the ball on line.
1, 2, 4, 10.
Well, that's a disaster.
It is. We'll return with more of this Brunswick World Team Challenge from San Antonio right after these messages. While we were away, Patrick Stinnett with the spare, David Smith with the spare, then Garber left the 4-6-7, picked up 2 and was open. And LaCroix, the 7-9, he only got 1. He was open. Now we go to Billy Young Jr.
Billy needs to line it, get this one in the hole. Anchor man Mike Edwards a chance to strike out and increase that 23-pin lead. We saw what happened in the first match when Showplace Lanes had an opportunity to really put this team away. Vice Grips, they had a 32-pin lead and couldn't do it. They ended up losing the match. Tony Franklin thinking, I've got to keep this match close. We did it once, we can do it again. If we can come back on Showplace Lanes, we can come back on Boulevard Bowl.
Got a break, the Brooklyn hit, and the strike. Now we move to Mike Edwards. I think he's 33 years old now. Finished second in the '89 ABC Masters.
A lot of ball speed here, right up that second arrow. Washington in the pit.
Yes, indeed. No fooling around with him.
The American Bowling Congress addresses the lanes to their procedure, and we do them every tournament basically the same way. Just the only variable, of course, will be the surface they're playing on, but pretty much the same shot every week. So if you're watching this at home and you want to play this game the way Mike Edwards plays it, learn to go up the boards like that, because that's been successful for most of the good players during the World Team Challenge.
Edwards and Young.
That's a tug. Trying to throw it a little harder, and it got away from him. It's only the 3 and the 6. Not a difficult spare for Mike Edwards. If he fills the frame, it'll be a 186 opening game for Boulevard Bowl. And Vice Grips, by striking out, could get it back to within 11, so it wouldn't be that damaging. But if they shouldn't strike out, we'd be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a 30-pin difference.
Team shot 187s on that left-hand lane in the first match.
Well, Vice Grips, of course, on the tough lane. They're going to be going to the lane that seems to have scored better. Boulevard Bowl coming over to the lane for the second game of this 2-game total pin match. They're going to be coming on to lane 38, which has been the toughest to score on. This is a big shot for Brad Hunter and the Vice Grip team. Lost it over.
All right. That's a big break for him.
Big break for him and the 4 guys sitting on the bench. Here's another look at it. Watch this ball. It never really did have a chance to stay on the right-hand side. He grips the lane, crosses the head pin, trips it out just like a left-hander. The 6 and the 10.
Just like a left-hander.
Looks good on the score sheet. Doesn't matter how you get him, as long as you get him.
That's right.
Again, if he strikes out in the 10th, Jay, he gets his team back to within 11 pins. And right now, that looks really good from where they were at that point. Going
and it would build a lot of momentum.
A little more ball speed. It skids. It hits that point down there where the ball just doesn't grip the lane. And now with the spare, a 161 game and a 25-pin difference in this opening game of this two-game match. Another look at that shot. The ball just never gripped the lane and made the turn into the pocket area.
Well, remember that Showplace Lanes was up 32 pins after the first game and took a shellacking.
Timeout there. A little thumb problem. Again, the moisture, the humidity in the air, even though the air conditioning is working overtime in the bowling center here, there is a tremendous heat wave going on outside in San Antonio.
Wonderful being here in the vibrant city of San Antonio, the home of the Alamo, and the great Riverwalk area here, marvelous sporting facilities. All right. We'll return with more of the Brunswick World Team Challenge from San Antonio in a moment. This championship, a 25-pin lead right now. And to start it off, Brad Davidson.
Well, it's going to be interesting. This is exactly the same situation within a few pins we were in after the first match, first game of the first match, when Vice Grips came back to win that one.
32.
Right. And they're down 25 now to Boulevard Bowl. Boulevard Bowl going now on lane 38, which has been the tougher of the 2 lanes scoring-wise. Not a good start here. This is the 2-7, the baby split for a left-hander. You don't often see a right-hander leave this. A much easier spare than it would appear. All you have to do is get the ball on the left side of the 2-pin. The ball will take out the 7.
Opening problem.
Well, it's not the way you want to start when you're down by 25. Now it's going to be interesting to see what the Boulevard Bowl team can do. Remember, this team has never won a match on television. This is their 7th try. They have finished 3rd twice. They've been 4th 3 times and 5th once. Now they're the tournament leaders. That's going to cross the pin and he got a break.
He was not at all pleased with the release, but
well,
he's got to be pleased with what happened.
That's right. Extends the lead to 36 pins after only 1 frame, and it's up to Vice Grips to make something happen. It doesn't look like Boulevard Bowl with Billy Young and of course Mike Edwards bowling 4th and 5th. They're not going to back down any, so they're going to have to fill some frames here.
Shot like that kind of demoralizes the team, but let's see if Vice Grips track can make the comeback as they did in our first match here today.
Well, that ball just went down and snap hooked left, so they're not going to make this lane look any easier than than lane 38. Easy spare here. Good lineup shot. This is the last game of a 2-game total pin match, and every shot's important. No chance to make any more mistakes for Vice Grips. Look at this. Unbelievable. Now that is not only a major physical mistake, but it'll demoralize the rest of the team. They're sitting on the bench saying, well, he's going to make this one an easy spare. And he just lets the ball get away. Had no chance. There's that out of bounds area. You can see the ball out about the 8th board right there. And it just won't come back from there. All right. This is the guy that can throw it hard and straight. Let's see if that works on the right-hand lane. He gets on the side of the ball, gets the ball out away from the side of it. A lot of ball speed. Duck up and back, left only the 6-pin.
Patrick Stinnett. Right now, Boulevard Bowl in very good shape.
Well, 47-pin lead with the spare, and things aren't looking very good right now for Vice Grips.
A reminder about upcoming events: October 28th and 29th, Hawthorne Lanes, Vernon Hills, Illinois, to the northwest of Chicago. November 4th and 5th, we'll be at the ABC West Lanes in Harrisburg, the capital city of Pennsylvania. And men's and women's events coming up: Fountain Valley out in California and Orange County. And if you want to find out about how you enter the American Bowling Congress, the number to call is 414-423-3415. Talk to Tom Bodecker and he will get the entry information to you. The 95-96 series of the Brunswick World Team Challenge getting underway here in San Antonio. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, lots of problems here.
Well, he's completely out of balance on that shot, but got away with it. Really not that difficult to spare. The 1-2-4-8 across the head pin here. Remember, I've told you before that spare is on the left side, and this is considered a left side spare. As we take another look at the strike ball, he just gets up there very quickly. Foot slips a little bit because he's sliding so far left. You don't usually get a lot of people sliding over there. And so that part of the lane could be a little slippery. The approach could be a little slipperier. We're right back into the match here, folks. It's seesawing back and forth, and anything can happen in one of these. Now the lead down to 32 pins.
And Garber's open there, giving the opportunity for Vice Grips to do some business, and it'll be Tony Franklin.
Vice Grips needs strikes. They couldn't have started the second game any worse. Open. Tony Franklin's a man that they depend on to get it done when they need it. He's through the middle of the head pin. 7-10. My, Jay. What can I say, huh?
Not much, and you can see his disdain there.
Well, I can understand that. It's just a tough day right now for this team. Nothing seems to be going right. This is not the way these teams bowled, believe me, folks, throughout the match play and qualifying to get to this point. It just gives away the count now because they were on a strike. That was kind of a mistake you didn't want to make. And, with that type of a thing, that's a 46-pin difference now in the match. Boulevard Bowl at this point, 46-pin lead with 7 frames to play.
And Franklin, with a strike there, could have really helped his team tremendously, dramatically. Here's Billy Young Jr. 2 national PBA titles. Here's, oh yes.
That's how it's done. And he loads it up again for Mike Edwards, who's the guy you want to get it to.
Young and Edwards are a tall order, aren't they?
They are. They're as good as anybody's going to be in this situation. They've both been there many times. And the pressure comes down so many times to the anchor man. Boulevard Bowl trying to put this match away early.
46-pin advantage right now. Brad Hunter for Vice Grips try. All right.
Good job there.
He needed that badly. Here is Mike Edwards. Mike, a great ambassador for the game. Wonderful fella.
That one's almost airborne. He threw it so hard. You see that? And that's what you call knowing how to do the job and getting it done.
Experience as we watch Mike Edwards at his very best. We'll return with the Brunswick World Team Challenge right after this. At this point in the proceedings, Boulevard Bowl. Boy, oh boy, Brad Hunter was open, and Shane Hamilton with the strike. There's Harry Page, a fine bowling writer for the San Antonio Express News. And there is David Smith. I think that score a moment ago that we showed you was incorrect. It's a 70-pin difference. lot of open frames for vice grips in this match, Earl.
Yeah, there's no question. It's just been a struggle all the way through. Easy spare here. And covers it. Boulevard Bowl going along like they've been here many times, and they have in the past, and this is an opportunity to make their first win on television, Jay.
They've been trying, well, six other occasions they've had the opportunity and haven't done the job. They will qualify for the Grand Championship. The site of the Grand Championship in '96 still yet to be determined. Patrick Stinnett. Certainly the conditions here today have caused a lot of consternation for the competitors.
They have, and but it's a fair condition. Again,
yep.
I bring that up
All
because
the same.
Everybody's going to play on it. The cross lane, look for another ball there, and they could cover the spare with.
It certainly hasn't bothered Billy Young Jr. or Mike Edwards on that Boulevard Bowl team. Chris LaCroix.
Now with an 82-pin lead at this point with 3 frames to play, it looks like Boulevard Bowl is finally going to win the televised match, Jay.
So many times today we've seen those shots just stay out there.
Yes, and it comes back, and you get a look at Eileen there.
Eileen Sherman from the Houston Chronicle. And we had a wonderful group of teams from Houston competing here.
Good cover there. In fact, Billy Lillard Jr., Bill Lillard's son, the Hall of Famer, competed, and his team finished in 4th place, Jay.
Right.
They had a chance. Came down to the 9th frame, as I mentioned earlier, against the team, the defending champions, Showplace Lanes, and they lost that match. Or we'd have seen Bill Lillard Jr. on here today.
Dan Garber had a problem. He lost it.
Well, he's not as disconsolate as he might appear, because he feels that, and his team feels that they've got this match pretty well in hand. Right at this point, they're just kind of breezing along here.
Yeah, he can smile about this shot at this moment.
Yeah, he can, but he would like to make this spare. He knows he's on national television. He wants to look pretty good when he goes home and looks at this. His family's probably got this on videotape. They're going to ask him about that shot.
All right, he wrapped them all up. Thank you very much.
Well, 80-pin lead with just a couple frames to play. Boulevard Bowl looking pretty good, and the pins are falling down without Tony even throwing the ball. Does that mean they're afraid of anything?
I don't know, but Vice Grips track made that very nice comeback in the first match, but this is certainly going to be a victory for Boulevard Bowl, and of course we'll probably see the Vice Grips track group again along the way.
I'm sure of that. And remember, the winner of each one of these events goes to Reno, Nevada for the Grand Championship, and we'll have teams from all over the world there, Jay, just as we did this past July.
Well, that's right. The Grand Championship in '96, the site has not been decided yet.
Oh.
It's still to be announced. We were in Reno, of course.
I mean, I have to send my air tickets back in?
Well, I don't know how many you bought, but we'll let you know. 22 stops in the open division, 6 in the women's division, and of course the continuing growth of the international involvement with teams coming to the Grand Championship.
We're going to take a look at Bill Young here. Billy's been around a while. He's an experienced player, and he's going to show you how to play this shot. Right up that second arrow. A lot of balls away from it. That one he didn't like too much. But that's basically where he should be playing. And right now, Billy has a big smile on his face, says, well, who cares? We're going to win this thing anyway. We're going along at a pretty good clip here. We got a big lead on these guys, and they're not going to come back with 2 frames to go, especially when I got Mike Edwards in the hole going to finish it out for me. I don't have to worry about that. Billy might show off for you, though, and pick this up. The 3-6, 7-10. Get it between the 3 and the 6. Have that 3-pin fly across and take it to the 7. Good try.
Very good try.
Well, it's down to a 66-pin lead with 1 frame to play. I don't think they're going to pick that up. So, as you said, Jay, it looks like Boulevard Bowl is finally going to be a champion.
Yes, indeed. They get some experience by James track, and there will be another time, hopefully, for them.
Easy spare here, and of course he's going to switch balls, which all the modern players do. They change balls for their spares. Sometimes they'll use 2 different strike balls on a pair of lanes. It's amazing what they can do and how well they know their equipment. That's the thing that amazes me.
Become very special, hasn't it?
It sure has. It's the resin-reactive bowling balls, the urethane bowling balls, the plastic bowling balls. One thing you don't see anymore are rubber bowling balls. They just aren't being manufactured anymore, and they're not available because the lane surfaces with these bowling balls, you tend to get more power, more hitting power, and more strikes.
Well, that's a very good adjustment there by Brad Hunter.
Well, Brad bowled pretty good when you consider that this is a tough condition. He made good shots most of the day, covered, filled up his frames. Our last look at PBA champion Mike Edwards.
Let's see how he finishes it off.
Zip bang, that's how Mike's playing.
All right, he says.
Now, Mike, as usual, making the good shot. You can see the good loft on the ball, the good rotation, good ball speed. Not trying to make the ball hook. He's just trying to get it into a roll on the back end. He's playing what the lane will give him. He's not trying to make something happen or overpower the lane. He's letting the lane determine where he can play. He's playing it that way, and that's what makes you into a good player.
Well, his team from Edmond, Oklahoma, coming here to the Alamo City and taking all the marbles. We'll be back and talk things over with our champions here in San Antonio right after these messages. Bowling Challenge is brought to you by Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide. By Lynn Shoes for the performance approach. It's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of top professionals and amateurs alike. By the ABC MasterCard. Get a grip on your finances with the ABC MasterCard. By Keepsake, designer and manufacturer of championship ring awards. By DBA Products, the industry leader in lane maintenance equipment. By Avis Rent-A-Car, the official car rental agency of the American Bowling Congress. And by the American Bowling Congress and Women's International Bowling Congress, providing championship service to sanctioned leagues across the United States. Make sure your league is sanctioned by the national governing bodies.
There is the score, a very definitive victory here for Boulevard Lane, 67 pins. Congratulations to you and your group, Mike.
Thanks, Jay. You know, we finally won a match, and we finally snapped one of these things off.
Finally won on television.
Yeah, it's great.
You had been on, what, half a dozen times before,
Yeah,
I think, and
so.
finally get the job done. Lucky 7.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I noticed certainly that you and Young seemed to have the right line. Everybody else was struggling a little bit.
Well, we seemed to play a little more tighter line, and it seemed to work a little bit more for us. So we just tried to keep the ball in play, and, you know, everything worked out for us.
Well, and we look forward because you were the first team, of course, to qualify for the Grand Championship. It'll be a while, but in '96, in the late summer, you'll have an opportunity for the big bucks.
Oh, that's great. We can't wait.
All right, well, let's introduce right now Dan Woodward, the general manager here, to present the plaque.
Mike, just want to congratulate you guys on bowling. I'm glad you won your first TV stop here. Look forward to seeing you again. Just want to thank the staff of the Country Lanes, the people from the tournament. They put on a great show. We just kind of provide the facility.
Well, thank you very much. It was good being with you. And here is Joseph Haynes, ABC field rep, to give you the ring.
Mike, congratulations on a great weekend, and for the Grand Championships, good luck and your rings. Take care.
You did what you have to do in the Baker system. You filled the frames, and especially at the right time.
That's right. That's the whole key with this thing here. It's like you make your spares and try to catch a couple breaks here and there.
All right, there they are, Boulevard Lanes, Edmond, Oklahoma, your champions.